Mr. Clancy, can you hear us? Can you unmute and let me know you can hear us?
Come in, Mr. Clancy.
Jarius, have him do a countdown.
You got our consultant.
Tell him to talk.
He's trying.
Hey, Mr. Clancy, can you hear us? Make sure your computer is not muted. Hey, Mr. Clancy, can you hear us? Can you count down from 10 for us or give us some verbal confirmation that you can hear us and so that we can hear you? Make sure your mic is unmuted.
Just go straight to the source. Well, I met with him. I went to his office. Had sat down with him, gave him some maps. Oh, that's perfect. That's what I need.
Mr. Clancy, can you hear us?
Hey, Jeff. How are you? You doing, Jeff?
Hanging in there.
I can't remember.
Just getting older. That's a good thing.
Hey, Mr. Clancy, can you give us some confirmation that you can hear us verbally?
I can see him now.
I can see
Oh.
that.
Window.
Clancy Mullen. He's our
Okay.
consultant for
He
transportation.
can
want it
see
right,
it.
He
yeah?
can s-
No. One, two, three, four, five, six, seven, eight, nine, 10. Slower? Yeah. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. One, two, three, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. One, two, three, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I can hear an 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
Hello, good evening, everyone. Welcome to the May 18th, 2023 Ascension Parish Council meeting. I'm officially called to order our meeting, and I'm going to ask Coach Thomas, please lead us in the invocation and pledge of allegiance.
Let's bow our heads. Most Heavenly Father, once again, Lord, we come with praise, honor. Come, Lord, to truly say we thank you for the many, many blessings that you bestowed upon each of us. We pray, Lord, a blessing upon this meeting tonight. We pray a blessing upon Ascension Parish. We pray, Lord, that you continue to guide, lead, direct us, and help us in all our ways. And Lord God, as we leave this place tonight, as always, I ask that you allow each of us to get home safe and sound to our families. In your name we pray, and we all say it.
Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, thank you, Coach. Let's see, roll call. Madam Secretary, please note everyone is here except for Mr. Mason, who I believe is across the pond. Chairs. No, not that pond. Let's see, chairs addition. There are no chairs addition, but we will be removing item 12A, the executive session. Moving into item number 4, public comment sign-in period. If anybody would like to speak on any of the items on the agenda, please come see Ms. McKee over here. She has the cards. Fill it out. When we get to that agenda item, we will call you up and you have 3 minutes to speak. Let's see. In the parish president's report, Mr.
Chairman, may I interrupt, sir?
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm gonna let Ms. Casso go first, please. Yes, Ms. Casso.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I want to just take this opportunity to thank the administration, John Paul, Robert, the DA, the sheriff, and most importantly, the code enforcement folks of Ascension Parish government for the work that's been done at Pookie Lane off of Seaborough Road. That area was unsafe for the people who live there, and while it was unfortunate that people had to be displaced, it was unsafe for those who lived there, and it was unsafe for those who lived around it. So I am very grateful for the effort on behalf of the administration, the district attorney, the sheriff, and most importantly, as I said, our code enforcement folks who just did an amazing job and are still there on site to ensure that the right things are done there and that the right things are left there that will be safe for the public. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Casso.
I forgot to mention thank you to this council. This council went in deep with me on that. Thank you so much for that. I apologize for having you last. All of you made it happen. Thank you so much.
Yes, ma'am. All right, Mr. President.
Thank you, Chair. I just want to thanks Council Member Casso for recognizing that. There was a lot of hard work that went into that from a lot of different agencies, and we all united to ensure that those people were put in. And that was something that a health issue was obviously apparent, and to be able to do that for not only the people that stayed on the property, but the residents in the area was tremendous. So thank you for bringing that out and bringing attention to that matter, because a lot of hard work went into it. So thank you for that. So I just kind of wanted to go over, this past Monday, we held a groundbreaking ceremony for early today on the ships, which are too numerous to list. But let me thank Councilwoman Casso, who are in attendance, Mayor Sullivan, Seville Council. The first fix in closing. Another huge thanks to CF. Make no mistake, it would not be where we are today or has gotten as far as we have without their generous contribution. The second fix is closing the skill gap. We're excited. Chancellor Taylor, High School campus a reality. Once we close that achievement gap, and let me tell you, there's not a single struggling community in the state of Louisiana, or probably the entire United States, as fortunate as Donaldsonville and the West Bank, with the announcements of billions of dollars being invested in industry on the West Bank. So I'm so proud of how far we've come, and I can't thank enough John Diaz and the team for all their hard work and dedication to continuing making these advancements on the West Bank possible. So I want to transition over, Chair and Council, you remember last council meeting we went ahead and we did the proclamation for the mental health. So I will just, part of that since we went. So this is to highlight the critical role in the parish, providing crucial behavioral health services and resources to our residents. And Ascension Parish continues its commitment to partner with our community members to ensure that all mental health services are accessible. So at this time, opportunity to invite Dr. Watson from OLOL to come up and please say a few words in relationship to the mental health proclamation.
Good evening. My name is Melissa Watson. I am the medical director for Mental and Behavioral Health Division in Our Lady of the Lake Regional Medical Center. I'm trained in child and adolescent psychiatry and adult psychiatry, and I do both of those functions at the lake. Mental illness itself impacts an individual's relationships, their ability to perform in a job, ability to perform in school, and just their overall quality of life. Conditions such as depression, anxiety, bipolar disorder, schizophrenia, personality disorder, substance use, all of these can be devastating to someone's life, even ending in suicide. Since the COVID-19 pandemic, these mental health conditions have only worsened in severity and in prevalence. As of 2023, 39% of our Louisiana residents have reported experiencing depression and anxiety. Substance use disorders has increased by 51% after the pandemic. Our desire with the Healthy Ascension Project is to increase access to mental health services for all of the residents of Ascension Parish. The plan includes increasing availability for clinic psychiatry appointments, and then we're also adding dedicated substance abuse counselors for the court system. As you can hear, it's very important to increase access. And another way that we're going to be doing this is with our comprehensive electronic medical record, EPIC, and this allows for expedient collaboration with other providers, and it also allows for video visit functions, which again increases access. Our Lady of the Lake is excited to partner with Ascension Parish to bring forth our expertise to help residents have a better quality of life. Part of our mission statement at Our Lady of the Lake is to extend our healing ministry to all people, especially those in need. We believe in that mission, and we're very proud to be a part of this endeavor. And we just want to thank you for the opportunity to serve the residents of Ascension Parish. Thank you.
Thank you.
So Chair, I would like for us to get the council together and take a quick photo so we can bring awareness to all the hardworking individuals that make these mental health services available to our community.
Yeah, sure will. Okay. Okay. All right. Okay. Thank y'all. right, Coach, you had a comment? Coach Thomas?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. I too would like to thank the administration, thank the council, thank Mr. President, and especially John Diaz for spearheading the project, the early childhood development project that we took on, and it's very badly needed. And again, we are very proud, and I say we, I'm talking about the constituents and the people of the West Bank are very happy to see that this project will be coming to the West Bank here shortly. And it's amazing how much can be done when no one worry about who get the credit. And we are very happy. And thank you, Mr. President, for your work and for your go-ahead to go on and get it done. Thank you very much. Thank you.
That concludes the report, Chair. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Let me turn on my own microphone. There we go. All right, moving along. Item number 6, the consent agenda. Ms. Secretary.
Adoption of regular council meeting minutes of April 6, 2023. Adoption of regular council meeting minutes of April 20th, 2023. Approval of renewal of cooperative endeavor agreement between the Board of Supervisors of Louisiana State University and A&M College, represented by LSU Agricultural Center and Ascension Parish government to provide 4-H youth development programs that are both relevant and useful to all Louisiana citizens. Total amount not to exceed $50,000 per year. Approval of amendment number 1 to professional services contract with Joey Thibodeau's drain cleaning and plumbing for parish utilities of Ascension distribution system. Labor and material is needed to repair leaks, install taps, and other work necessary to maintain the distribution system, to increase the total contract amount by an additional $80,000 for a new total contract amount of $129,000. Approval of maintenance agreement including mowing and litter pickup between the parish and LADOTD. Parish to perform maintenance related to mowing, herbicide application, and litter collection along state roadways located within Ascension Parish. The maximum amount of reimbursement to the parish is $154,640. Approval of legal services contract to hire the law firm of Daigle, Feast, and Kessenich, attorney Stephen Bruyette, to represent the parish in the matter of Ascension Parish versus Demco Electric. Approval of amendment number 5 to the master contract for traffic engineering consulting between the parish and Gresham Smith to extend the original contract term through July 31st, 2023. The amendment will not affect the contract price.
Would anyone like to remove any item for discussion from the consent agenda? Hearing none, I have a motion by Mr. Lambert, a second by Mr. Cagnolati. Any objection? So moved. General business, 7A, approval of citizen participation plan for the Community Development Block Grant, a $794,758 allocation from OCD through the Hometown Revitalization Program designed to restore jobs and revitalize commercial districts that suffered major damage from 2021 disasters. We have Ms. Hermina here with us.
Yeah, it's a good evening, gentlemen. It's just a sorry, Councilwoman. No good evening. We are requesting approval to adopt a citizen participation plan in order to comply with Section 508 of the Housing and Community Development Act of 1974 as amended for the purpose of the Community Development Block Grant Project.
All right. We have a motion by Mr. Robert, a second by Mr. Cagnolati. Any objection? Hearing none. So moved. Thank you, Ms. Hermina.
Thank you.
7B, update from the Animal Services Board regarding site selection, including presentation of chart with considered sites and approval of possible sites to be considered for survey, appraisal, and wetland delineation.
I think I'm going to handle that.
Oh, you already got the remote.
I got the remote.
Okay.
I've never held this in my hand, so, and I'm about as, oh, look, bravo. I don't think I did that. I think Jarius did it. So first I want to thank Ruth, who put this together for us, and the members of the board. I'm going to tell you, gentlemen, before we get into these sites, I've been with this board now for a couple of years. Most of the time, they don't need my presence there. These people know what they're doing. I mean, they're experts in their fields. They are knowledgeable, And the recommendations that you see for these top 5 candidates are the ones of the 16 that they believe, knowing what they know and believe about animal services, that they believe these are the 5 best spots for the animal service building to be located. So I hope that if any of them, I see several of them here tonight, if they have anything they want to add to this discussion, I hope they'll feel comfortable in taking the mic, and certainly I'd be happy to yield to them. There are 5 locations you'll see on this. The first one is Highway 44 at Black Bayou. What the board is looking for tonight is some guidance from this body on the locations, which 3 perhaps out of these 5 you would like to see become made more ready. They need appraisals, they need surveys, they need ELOS to be involved. I think there's one other thing I can't think of right off the top of my head. So that has to be had before, wetlands delineation. So those things have to happen before we can actually choose a final site. But if you would allow us to narrow this down or help us to narrow this down to 3, then it would be helpful to be able to just move forward with those 3. Certainly, we welcome any input from the council about any other location they might have in mind, but these are the ones that have been thoroughly researched by the board and or researched by the administration and reviewed by the board, and then the final 5 were determined by the board. I was present, I saw it happen. So Highway 44 at Black Bayou, 924 on Highway 30, East Highway 30, Airline Highway across from the flea market, Airline Highway near Highway 44, that's behind Malco, and Airline Highway at Roddy Road, that's behind the motel. Highway 44 at Black Bayou is in District 9. This is the particulars on it. There's no point in me reading all of that to you. And if anyone has any questions about why this location was determined to be the most favorable, I'm sure members of this board are happy to share their answer on that. There are some challenges around this piece of property in that the owner was not willing to give us a price. What he wants is an appraisal. And once there's an appraisal, he's willing to talk about a price. He's, I'm sure, fully aware that we can only pay a few 10% above appraisal for a piece of property. So I'm sure he's interested in knowing the appraised value. Any questions on this one? The next one is 924 East Highway 30. That's in District 10. You can see the particulars on it. The issue around this piece of property, of course, is that the city of Gonzales would also have to approve. There is a mobile home park, as you can see, about 275 feet to the north, and it seems to be a sufficient buffer, but, you know, we would certainly need to have the city approve this location.
Take care.
Any questions on this one?
Madam Chair.
Yes, sir. Well, but y'all called me that a few times.
Coordinator of this presentation.
Yes.
Terry, has anyone spoken to the city about this yet?
Not to my knowledge, no.
Okay. That's going to be a tough fight. 275 feet. I think that first property that was proposed to the council that was north on Highway 44 that had residential and commercial, within 200 feet, that was one of the big problems they had was the noise and the odor consideration. So I'm not sure you will get an approval from the city on that.
Yeah, and we are aware of that. So if you all will give us, like we said, yes, Darren, please.
Sir.
Gonna have
Please come to the
up.
microphone, please.
And introduce yourself,
And then
Darren.
introduce yourself.
My name's Darren Shaw. I serve on the Animal Services Board. On that first piece of property you were talking about, it's actually Councilman Mason's relatives that live behind that property, and they all said they would be fine with having an animal shelter there. So they've already got cows right across the field, and so having some dogs and animals over there wouldn't be a problem for them. So that is one thing in consideration that.
That's the first one, Darren?
That's on the
Highway
first piece
44?
of property. On this one here, this would have to be subdivided because we wouldn't be buying the entire 8 acres.
So we'd probably end up with a larger buffer because we buy just
Yeah,
the
we would
front.
probably have a larger buffer, yeah.
Okay, so that's, thank you. Go ahead, Aaron.
I think it was just pointed out to me, is that a daycare next to it?
There is. There's a daycare and there's a church.
That's a little bit of a concern, only because I know when we were looking before, one of my thoughts was, oh, maybe we could put like a park out in front and get families there. But then the more I talked to people, I said, do you really kind of want to separate a bunch of kids playing from the animals because there's safety issues, basically. So we'd have to make sure that the daycare's okay with it, and just liability issues and kids getting sick, we don't want to do that.
I don't think we have to worry about kids getting sick, but yeah, you don't want, everything would be fenced appropriately, so that shouldn't be an issue.
Any other questions? We can move along to the next one. Airline Highway across from the Free Market, that's in District 7. And you can see the particulars on it there. Please.
Hello, my name is Nina Wager. And this property, one thing I'd like to point out is that it is next to a concrete recycle yard. It's very industrial. It's very wooded behind it, so it's a good fit. But also, it's the location. It's I'm not sure the distance, but there's a little triangle around this property. So you would have this point, and when you go east a little bit, then that is the dog park, the Prairieville Dog Park, and which, we've talked about doing something like that, and our parish has already developed that with the chamber, I believe. And so having the dog park there could be a good option. And also we use, there's Ascension Animal Hospital. That is the primary veterinarian that we use, or that Kara's House uses. And so that is who would be volunteering their time. That vet would be literally crossing Airline Highway. There's already a turn lane. They would cross Airline Highway, come on her lunch break or after work, spay some animals, do whatever she has to do, the rabies vaccinations, all the things that the vet would need to do. Because we likely would not have a full-time veterinarian on staff. It would be something that we would have to utilize someone like contract labor. But there would be a very small clinic, it's a very small, for her to do the surgeries and perform the things that are necessary for the shelter. So that is across the street, almost directly across the street is the Ascension Animal Hospital. And then there's also an emergency, so part of the triangle, it's actually 4 points now, but originally it was a triangle. Cypress Animal Hospital is an emergency hospital, and they're very sweet. I use them. So I'm sure that they would even be willing to help do some low-cost, items for us, whether it be contract some of their time to do the spay neuters, because there's going to be a lot of them that are going to be needed, and the Ascension Animal Hospital veterinarian can't perform them all. So having, I believe it's 4 or 5 vets at Cypress Animal Hospital, which is literally on the other side of the recycle yard. I'm not sure what that main road is, but it is pretty vacant, and there doesn't appear to be many homes that are, in the surrounding area. So I wanted to point that out about the dog park, Cypress Lakes Emergency Vet Hospital, so after hours if there's something that happens on the weekends. Ascension Animal Hospital is closed, which is our primary person. We have Cypress Lakes right there, literally like around the corner, across the field. And then in the dog park. So I just wanted to point that out about this property. And the property owner, there's a home on there that is a rental, and that is going to be removed. It's a month-to-month situation with this person. So, and it's not the prettiest property, so that's all going to be cleared. And then he's actually, the whole property, I passed it the other day, and I've been in contact with the owner. He did clear the property. There are some trees, but he did clear that first section, not the long triangle, the long rectangle section in the back, but the first part. He cleared it years ago, but a lot of weeds have grown, so he's clearing it again. So it looks really good. So I just wanted to point that out to everyone.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And if I can remind all of you, when we put this list together, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, it wasn't in concrete, okay? Whatever, any one of the 5, there are good reasons why this would be good candidates, and I think that that this particular one, number 3, is particularly interesting. Yes. Go right
I know
ahead.
some people get concerned about if it's in your district, this is in my district, and I really like the site. I think it's a good site. So I just want y'all to know that being in my district, I'm not opposed to it at all. The other thing is, and I think I think as Nina said, she's talked to the owner, and we may be able to work with them on some other things, pricing wise, and try and get a good agreement on this. And oddly enough, it's right in the middle. I mean, you're in between Prairieville and Gonzales, right on Airline Highway, so it meets some of those
High visibility.
high visibility, but it's also between 2 major population bases.
Thank you, Aaron, very much. The next one is Highway 44 at Airline near District 10. That's behind the Malco Theater, and you can see the particulars on that. If there's any questions or comments on it. Yes, sir.
Objection with the bowling alley and the shopping center right there.
Sure. And the next one was Airline at Roddy behind the motel. You can see the particulars on that one. This property is entirely within a flood zone. It was not our, that does present a challenge. And so if it were me, I wouldn't include it as one of the 3, but it was better than any of the remaining ones. So it made the cut because it just was better than the others.
Got a residential trailer park across the street, and behind it is a Walmart, and that's shopping mall. No, I'm sorry, the shopping mall.
Right.
And I also think that go ahead, Joel, I'm sorry.
For this last property, I did want to mention they have enough of the property within that acreage that's out of the flood zone. I had went and looked at this property myself, and I believe it's well over 5 acres, they said, that are completely developable. And like you were saying, it doesn't necessarily connect to that shopping center. It's another piece of property between the shopping center and the other one. So I was just saying that about the wetlands part of the.
Sure. Thank you for that extra information.
And I believe also we'll have to make sure if we do something like this planned, but I think we're planning on improvements at that intersection there.
Yes.
So that,
Definitely.
yeah.
Major.
So that's gonna.
Right, so that's a factor.
Yeah.
So what the board would appreciate from this body is a recommendation of 3 sites that we should move forward on, and a recommendation to the administration to get those appraised, get the wetlands determination made, and get the all the surveying and et cetera done for the benefit of moving forward. And then we'll come back to you once we have all 3 of them appraised, et cetera, and ask you to approve the final selection.
Yeah, I will just comment that the Airline Highway location directly across from the flea market, in my opinion, stands out amongst all 5 of them. I think it checks every box. The flood zone on the last 2 concerned me, and the first one, the Highway 44 at Black Bayou, that's only about 3/4 of a mile north of the last location that we rejected. So I don't know why we would love that one and didn't like the one from last month. But I don't have 3 I love, but I have 1 that I think checks every box. I actually have more people who want to talk, but I'll just state my recommendation would be to proceed with location number 11 right across from the flea market. But we do.
It's okay with us, gentlemen, if you only want to do 1 or 2.
Yeah, okay, that's good.
Just in case there's.
I'll second that.
Okay, and I'm coming to you, D. We got Travis first.
Yeah, just want to kind of echo what Chase was saying. I think the one across from the flea market is probably the best one. It's high visibility. It's not close to any homes, and that's really the only one I really thought checks all the boxes.
I agree.
I would love to see a motion made that, to move forward with that one. And gentlemen, if you'd give us one more in case that one just for some reason doesn't work, then we're not back to square one. So does anybody have a preference on the second one?
Hang tight, Mr. Robert. Let me get you a mic. There you go.
The one airline at Roddy Road, I don't think it was a terrible idea.
Okay.
I think it's the one up, it is the one up right now.
Okay. All right, Mr. Cagnolati.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This process has been drawn out. Terry, appreciate your work and everybody on the Animal Services Board.
Wasn't me.
I agree.
At all.
I agree that site location 11 from these 5, it stands out to me more than any other site. Quite frankly, none of the other 4 appeal to me that much because of various reasons. But I'd like to keep we're not deciding, voting on, doing anything tonight. We're just going to give the clearance to spend the money to do the assessment of the property, wetlands delineation and what have you, appraisals. I'd like to keep, I am personally looking at a couple of other sites that I've got to get some more details on, but I will submit those to the Secretary, Cinnamon, when I get them, and make it aware to all members, especially the members of the Animal Services Board. And if they don't measure up to what we see on location number 11, yeah, I'll certainly withdraw, but I just like a little bit more time to submit a couple of more sites that I have in mind.
I do have one question about the site that is currently up at the airline Roddy Road. I don't know who can answer. So I see the entire property is 14.3 acres, but it has that small road frontage on airline right there. So my question is that 492,000 good for the 5 acres that accesses airline highway? Does anybody know that?
Nina probably knows.
Okay. Nina Wager again. I do remember this coming up in one of the meetings, and Ruth Phillips did state, I'm almost certain that there was just wide enough of a clearance that there could be some type of driveway. I'm not sure if that would be the main entrance, but I believe there's another, is there another? Yes.
Yeah, there's
okay,
2
there's
more.
another entrance over there. But there is
3,
a
really.
small section. I don't have the dimensions, but I believe that she did say that that would be usable to. Okay. Yeah.
That's my recollection too, Nina. Thank you.
Okay.
Let me, I do have some more questions from the council members. We got Mr. Lawler and then Mr. Ogeron.
Yeah, certainly my favorite is location number 11 on airline across from the flea market. I am looking at this number 10 though. I guess my thought would be that airline frontage could always be used for signage for visibility purposes, and I guess the southernmost, easternmost border down the bottom that sticks on the road there, that would probably have to be our entrance and exit, because putting it up close to where roundabout's going to be is going to be problematic. So we couldn't use that top to get in and out of there. This would probably be my second favorite, provided we could get, the pricing, 82,000 is okay, but per acre, but we can't afford 14 acres for it. So we just have to look. I mean, this is one I'd be willing to look at. And which one is that? It's number 5, location number 6. And the other thing
The one that's on the screen right now.
Yeah, the one that's on the screen.
One that's on the screen.
That I wanted to point out that I believe the cost for survey, appraisal, and delineation per property is going to be around $5,000. So we're not.
That's $4,900 plus the cost of the wetlands mitigation
Okay.
report. So
So
it's,
we,
which
So it's
is-
not going to be tremendous. That we're not.
no, it's not. If we do
No,
2 or 3.
I would like to point out, so today, we did get a quote from ELOS to do the wetland determination on all 5 properties.
Right.
They included all 5, and with 16,000. So,
We're at about 3,000.
yeah.
So I'd definitely like to, I would make the motion that we do number, I guess ASB priority 3 and 5 at least. I wouldn't mind doing a third one because I hate to get ourselves in a situation where the first two don't work for some unseen reason that pops up, and we're right back to stage one. So, I mean, I'd be willing to even do all 5, even though they aren't all my favorites. But number 3, location number 11, I would love to do that one. So I'll make a motion, at least that we do number 3 and 5, and if anybody wants to add anything to it, jump it in.
I do have another question or comment from Mr. Ogeron.
Thank you, Chair. I see Mr. Compton is here. Does the administration have a preference? Does the administration have any input or any thoughts on which of these would be preferable?
The administration does not have a preference, but I have spent time looking at all the sites, and I'd be happy to kind of provide input if we want to roll backwards through them. The issue I have with this one in particular is the flood zone and the idea that we've spent so much time in our past moving those dogs to Lamar Dixon that we would want to ensure we built this thing at an elevation that we're not ever worried about moving animals again. But that side of the property where Councilman Lawler was talking about the primary entrance, I'm concerned because of the electrical substation there. I'm pretty sure there's a major utility servitude that runs through there, and it's highly unlikely that we'd be able to build our entrance off of that stub. And so when I was calculating the acreage for this one in particular, I calculated it based on not including that little thing that looks like a thumbprint wetland down on the bottom. So from the bottom, you would need at a minimum 5 acres plus whatever that wetland is to build the existing or the planned structure we have. You would start getting up to where that ditch looks like it kind of crosses through the middle of the property. But that's, again, right where that utility servitude crosses. And without a survey, I can't tell you if it fits. So
That piece of property is also part of the plat, that with the house on it. I don't know why it's not included there, but.
It's probably because of how the assessor breaks out the
Well, it's
parcels.
subdivided separately, but that's part of the 14 acres.
Okay. So roll back to the next one, Ms. Terry.
You got it.
So this one, again, 100% in the flood zone. You have the major bayou that runs right through the middle. You could access the property from behind where the theater is. But again, if we're going to subdivide that property, we're probably going to chop it at the bayou, which means we're going to get more property than we need. It's all going to be in the flood zone. You know, I'm not sure I concur with Councilman Cagnolati about the distance between a shopping center and an animal shelter because, again, they're compatible commercial style uses where you're going to have traffic generated. You know, that extra property you probably could use in your H&TB major drainage study and dig a big pond back there to kind of serve that purpose. So my concern on this property would be the elevation and how much fill we would need to jack it up to get it out of the flood zone. All right, let's go back one. So this one, you know, I do like this piece of property. I want to make sure we're not confused. There is not a turn lane on Airline Highway. There's a median cut. So it's not a protected turn. You do have the ability to turn left when you're coming south down Airline Highway. The aerial evidence to me looks very suspicious for wetlands, but until you get in there and do a wetland delineation, you will not know. But I do think at the front of that property, there are 5 usable acres. My biggest concern with this one is they told us it's an $840,000 minimum price, regardless of whether they're buying the whole tract or just 5 acres. So, you know, when you do that 5 acres at that price, it does start to elevate that price per acre cost. And so that's why it wasn't my favorite selection. So let's. So what they told us was that the $840,000 is their minimum price. And if the back is wetland, we don't want to buy it, but they said they donate it to us. So it's one of those, yeah, it's just one of those things. We wouldn't mitigate it, but we'd just own it. One more, Ms. Terry. All right, so this one, like Councilman Cagnolati said, is in proximity to that mobile home park. My biggest concern with this one is that the property owner cleared it before he got a wetland delineation. So there is a buffer on the back of this piece of property that he left, probably because it started getting wet. There is a ditch back there, but it's not a bad site. It is off of Highway 30. It's not going to have a lot of visibility, but you have a lot of traffic. It's probably not in my top 2 like it is in this group. But the wetlands do kind of scare me because we have seen that be a problem in the past. And then the last site, We call it the Lamandola property. It's right behind Lamandola Dentistry. Those little thumbprints in the middle, they do look wet to me. They were probably cow puddles at some point that they would claim as wetlands. But it is a high visibility corner. Councilman Mason did talk to his family and they don't have a problem with it. It's not in the flood zone, but we don't know how much he's gonna ask. And so that's the fear there, is that you could go do an appraisal and we tell him we can only pay 10% above appraisal, and that's not a good price. So it's an unknown, and until you do that, to me, this one would be one I'd do the appraisal exercise just to see what the price per acre is.
Aaron, you want to add that at your third?
Absolutely, that's fine. I think it gives us some good options.
So Aaron, will you repeat your motion?
Yeah, I move that we obtain appraisal, survey, and wetland delineations for location number 8, location 11, and location 6. So that'd be 1, 3, and 5.
Okay, I have a motion for us to move forward with location number 8, the Highway 44 at Black Bayou, location number 11, Airline Highway across from the flea market, and location number 6, Airline Highway at Roddy Road behind the motel.
I'll second that.
All right, we have a motion by Mr. Lawler, a second by Ms. Casso. Any more comment, any objection? Okay, you got a comment?
I just will amend the motion to say that other properties will be considered as well. It doesn't close the door on any other proposed sites.
So
we're going to do the wetlands, I approve this, but
okay.
that doesn't eliminate any future possibilities.
But just so we're clear, we're not going to say that we're going to move forward with any more wetlands delineation without coming to the body. Okay.
Correct.
Okay. Yeah, that's fine. And would you just like to add that to yours so I don't have to do twice? Okay. Amendment for locations 8, 11, and number 6, and to be open to more properties, but to move forward with the wetlands delineation appraisal on these 3 specific properties. Any objection? Yeah, Mr. Lambert.
2 quick things. DOTD is going to be one of the biggest things on this, approving that one site on Roddy. I don't think 60 foot is going to get you a road in.
On Roddy, it goes all the way back to where the Siemens Center is by Walmart. You know what I'm talking about? And your entrance, you can put it right there by that other entrance.
That was the only other thing in the board. How many acres do they actually need for what they're gonna build? Was the 8?
5.
5?
Yeah, 5 is their perfect number, their target.
Perfect would be 5.
Perfect
Good, okay.
would be 5.
But we'll live with 8.
Yeah.
Perfect.
We'll add a fish rescue to it.
All right, any objections? Hearing none? So moved. And thank y'all so much. We truly appreciate it. All right, item 7C, recreation updates on Lala Ruggiero Fields, food trucks, and at AP Parks, and field conditions and maintenance at parks.
Okay, so do we have anybody here for that? Recreation? Ricky, Lala Fields, talk to us.
Is there a question, or you just want me to talk about it?
Just kind of update. It was supposed to be on the last recreation agenda.
Okay.
But we didn't have a quorum for recreation. We had to cancel it.
Okay, so
Coach had been asking about it.
the CEA with the city of Donaldsonville is fully executed, and the $400,000 transfer from Lighting District 2 has been approved. This week, we coordinated with the city of Donaldsonville's consultant to ensure all of the work we previously done on this project would be transferred through our design engineer to them. We're hoping to have a meeting with the city of Donaldsonville, their consultant, and our consultant shortly to discuss the project steps and potential timelines. Our project manager, Rachel Farrar, will be our owner's representative on this project to ensure it advances in accordance with the CEA.
Do you have any questions?
Okay. Are you good? Okay. All right.
I guess the next item on there was an update on the food trucks at Ascension Parish Parks. Oh, I'm sorry, Ricky, I thought Recreation would be here for this.
I have an update.
Do you know where we stand on that?
I do. So the ordinance was passed in August of last year, and the recreation staff has been working to make it a reality. And during that process, they've continually discovered unresolved conflicts and potential questions in the ordinance. They've been working with 2 different vendors who've made inquiries, and as of yesterday, have requested that those 2 submit their applications to be approved vendors. I've actually asked communications to help me design a sign that we'll be printing and giving to any food truck vendors that they'll put in front of their trucks to note that they are approved vendors to the parish. We've agreed in principle that we're going to work through these conflicts in the ordinance by practice. We can't resolve everything with an ordinance without knowing what those problems are. We'll probably come back to this body in the next 6 months and change some things if we discover that they're unmanageable. But, you know, the ordinance says you can't have more than 2 in a park. What happens if a third shows up? Who enforces that? What happens if a truck wants to say parked overnight? That's not allowed in the ordinance. What do we do? So I don't want to try to solve a problem that doesn't exist yet, but if they do present themselves as a problem, we will come back and resolve them. That's pretty much it.
Ricky, one of my concerns is when we approved this in August, it was done with the explicit understanding that we would have this ready for when school let out to get snowball stands at our spray parks and our different parks. Why is it taking this long to get done? Because I sent an email 2 weeks ago asking the food vendor to contact the parish because nobody had reached out to anybody, nothing had been done on it, and that's when these problems were discovered, 2 weeks ago. I'm just disappointed because when kids get out of school, the hope was that we would have a snowball stand at a spray park. And to approve something in August and to not have it done by now, and we're just learning about problems, and we haven't reached out to people, I'm terribly disappointed. So why did this fail so miserably?
Has school let out?
Some, yeah.
So I'd be hard-pressed to say that we have failed miserably when school hasn't let out and we're asking them to go ahead and get permits. So I think in the interest of fairness to everything else that is going on in recreation, it's happening. So I don't think we're a miserable failure at this point. Let's let it work out.
Well, I understand that, but, you know, we just talked about, you know, the goal is to have like a snowball stand. That's how this started, to have a snowball stand at our spray parks and even at our ball fields, to have them out there all the time, not to move in and out, that's impractical. And just seriously, this popped up because I sent an email to a vendor to say, hey, have you heard anything about this? No. Well, why don't you reach out to the department, to the person in charge, and keep me informed as to, you know, what roadblocks you get and how it goes. Nothing had been done before that point. No vendors had been reached out up until 2 weeks ago. How did we expect to get anybody out there if we didn't take the steps necessary to do it?
I don't have an answer for you.
I know, I'm bringing it up. I mean, it really has to be looked at, though, because when we do this kind of thing, the goal is, especially when it's done in August and the expectation is set forth that we're going to provide a service to our citizens, that I think from August until May was more than enough time. But what I learned is nothing was done until 2 weeks ago. Nothing was done of substance. So, I mean, I'm hoping we learn something from this and can, you know, solve this issue, but it's quite disappointing. So, I know, I think Coach had a question or something.
Go ahead, Coach.
Thank you, Chair. Mr. Ricky, I'd just like to step back for a minute. We talked about La Field. Is there any situation, or is there any particular project that we'll be doing first? Have we met on anything that the administration and the city of Donaldsonville anticipate on doing? I know the lights were one of the #1 things that they had on the agenda. Also, the grandstand was, I would think, would be priority #2 to getting this fixed. had we made a list or anything? We have, when I say we, talking about administration and the city of Donaldsonville.
So this body approved a cooperative endeavor agreement so that the city of Donaldsonville is running this project. Lights, the LED lights, the poles, the fixtures, the electricity, the transformers, all that business is priority one. That project was mostly designed under our design engineers project. We are transferring all of that to the city of Donaldsonville's engineer, who's going to put the bid package together and put that project out to bid. When that process is moving forward, their very next priority is the grandstands. Get the grandstands back in place, get the roof back on, get the press box built. Once that project goes out to bid, they'll be able to determine if any of the funds are left so that they can move to the next priority. We won't know that until that second phase goes out to bid.
So the money from the Lighting District 2, was it? Lighting District 2?
Yes, sir.
That has, you just said that has been approved, correct?
Yes, sir.
And that, as far as that, the money, that's, where is that coming from?
From Lighting District 2.
And that is what, okay, thank you.
Mr. Robert.
From what I was hearing when we were talking about the food truck and the vendors at the parks, is you're saying we just have to work on some of the things with the ordinance, but it kind of sounded like you're ready for vendors now, right?
We reached out to the 2 vendors who have reached out to us and asked them to go ahead and fill out their application so we can get them approved ASAP and get them in the parks.
And I guess I wanted to point that out because, I mean, that does give us an opportunity to have it for this summer. But secondly, I think a couple of the issues that you said off the top of your head that you were having, one of it being the ordinance states that you can only have 2 vendors on site at a time. And the second problem you had stated was the overnight parking or being there overnight. I feel like both of those could be addressed pretty easily as far as you're requiring a permit anyways. So until we can get some language in the ordinance to change that over 2 vendors, I mean, just have 2 permitted. Once they're permitted, you got to hold off. Secondly, on the food truck, I think, and I mean, that would be per week or per weekend. You'd have some type of schedule to where it wouldn't be a season-long permit, but maybe a week permit or a weekend permit, kind of like they'll do. As far as the second issue, the overnight, you could just have your stipulations to where if they're doing a tournament for baseball or if they're doing a weekend for baseball or any type of events, you can have your food truck there. You can leave your food truck overnight, but no one can stay there. No one can be in the park. It'll be locked. You have to vacate the park. You can come back the following day, so everything's there and everything's ready to start for the rest of the weekend. And then the third thing is I would like to see an option to where the parish does designate maybe a small area in each of the parks to where if you have some clubs, whether it be 4-H or clubs, Beta Club, Interact, whatever they are, they want to say, hey, we want to rent this space from the parish for a weekend and do snowballs, or for the month of this and do snowballs. And we would give them that head start to have that opportunity for them. Obviously, there'd be some figuring out how they would be able to do all that with their money and whatnot with those particular clubs, but that's on them. I do think it's in the motions, and I think it's a reality that could happen now. Just some of those little kinks we can work out. Thank you, Chair.
All right, thank you, Mr. Robert. Any more?
One last item on there.
Oh, okay. Yep, go ahead.
Jarius, could you roll that beautiful bean footage from those commercials?
Sure, just FYI, I can't blow it up, it's gonna be pixelated.
Oh, okay.
It's gonna be a little small, okay?
That's okay. The reason I bring this up, I got a call a couple weeks ago about a dad who took his kid to a park, Prairieville Park. They hit him grounders, and kid ended up with a badly busted lip from playing on this infield. So I sent the council pictures of it, and I think we're going to get pictures here. Okay, first we'll look at Jackie Robinson Park. Can you kind of just, can we scroll through them so people can see? I know they're tiny. You can see that's the field there. That's a dugout with some concrete. Another picture of the field. And we can look at Prairieville Park also next. That's Prairieville Park. That's the infield there. That's another picture of the infield. You know, I've toured all of these parks. Southwood Village looks just like that. Some of the parks where we actually have AP baseball and softball look much better. Paula Park, they went out there and did some fixer-ups. But when I look at a park like this, I mean, I think that is not up to Ascension Parish standards.
No.
Not at all, especially when kids are getting hurt. And what this doesn't show is the difference in elevation on the ground going on and off the fields. The pitcher's mounds have big drop-offs in random places. My question is, why aren't we maintaining our fields year-round? Because in Louisiana, you can go out there and hit grounders with kids really 10 months out of the year. Why are our fields looking like that, and what is preventing us from maintaining them?
Okay, so the majority of the focus for the past 2 years has been to completely transform our ballparks at where our leagues play. Stevens Park. We just started heavily addressing the auxiliary fields that are rented by travel teams and used for free play. And the process of transforming these additional fields includes heavily spraying to eliminate undesirable grasses, weeds, and pests, and then seeding, fertilizing, and building back up, which is a very long process to complete and get them where we would like them. As of now, we've done the work to eliminate, but are just starting the process of building back up, so it will look worse before it looks better. What I can say about Prairieville Park is that it's the only park we have where the adults play softball. The infield is a mix of grass and dirt, not due to lack of maintenance or upkeep, but due to the fact that the adults play there every night, 7 days a week. The bases and home plate all have turf. The turf has been covered with dirt because the adults play 7 days a week. We have not received a single complaint in the recreation department from a single adult that plays softball at Prairieville Park for the condition of the field. The field at Jackie Robinson's Park is rented almost every day in almost every available rental opportunity. This field is utilized by many different travel ball teams as well as soccer and flag football. Again, the recreation department has not registered a single complaint from any of these groups. That chunk of concrete, yes, that's a problem. We have vandalism in every one of our parks every week. Concrete was broken the day you got there or the week before you got there and it wasn't picked up. And I apologize because vandalism is a huge problem in this parish. And until we can get our hands around getting Wi-Fi in all of our parks and cameras to catch criminals, we're going to continue to deal with it. Paula Park is utilized during the season by Impact Sports, running our T-ball operations, and over 400 kids played there this season. We're again looking to make improvements and upgrades at all of our parks. And I'm not trying to imply that Paula Park doesn't need some upgrades, but we didn't register a single complaint from a single parent about the condition of the fields at Paula Park. We are making every effort to improve our facilities. And again, I wrote a list. This council is enabling recreation and the grants that we've been receiving and the capital outlay projects. The Dutchtown Splash Pad, we reviewed the new design plans this project. We're at 90% construction drawings on the Santa Maria Community Center. The Donaldson Armory, we received that grant that Hermina talked to you about today. That's $700,000. We believe we're getting capital outlay money for that project. You guys budgeted $2 million. Going to be built and upgraded and remodeled, and we are doing right now on that project. The playground at Duplessis Youth Legacy is nearing completion, and we should have a ribbon cutting at the end of next month. There's a brand new playground being built at Geismar Park at the Richard Brown Community Center. At consultants this week, and they're beginning the project to design the backstops and turf upgrades at Butch Gore Park. Lamar Dixon Gym, the old gym, we're working on a huge $500,000 project to make some corrections that have never been done that are moisture intrusion, the floors, the AC, the doors, the windows. We're hosting monthly sock hops. We're continuing to work on our new relationship with Our Lady of the Lake on health and wellness programs. We're working with the Veterans Group on some upgrades at the Veterans new mowing contractor and dealing with a lot of issues there that we're probably going to be coming back and figuring out with you guys. And Michelle has been working for months with Jarius and IT. She's very thankful for that effort because we finally have TPAR back up and running, and we're hopeful that this new upgrade will enable us to better facilitate online rentals of our parks and our facilities. So to say that we're failing is a bit of a stretch, because I think we're doing a great job.
Ricky, I thank you for all of that, but when I look at these fields, I've played at men's softball fields before that didn't look like that, and they were played on all the time. And I've been out there during the leagues, and I've heard the complaints. And I've talked to guys going out there looking to practice, and you know, I go out there, I say, hey, what do y'all think of these fields? Without knowing who I am, they don't know me. And they're like, it's terrible, but you know, we don't have anything else. And I'm sure the teams that are using Jackie Robinson would really appreciate if it was a real baseball field. And my question is again, okay, so what have we done at Jackie Robinson and Prairieville Park, say, to bring those fields up to standard?
Do I need to read this again?
Well, I mean, has that been done? I mean, have we?
We are in the process of transforming these additional fields, including heavily spraying to eliminate undesirable grasses, weeds, and pests, and then seeding, fertilizing, and building back up, which is a very long process to complete and get them to where we would like them. As of now, we've done the work to eliminate, but are just starting the process of building back up so it will look worse before it looks better.
So I guess my question then is going to be that once these fields, first of all, when do we expect it to be done?
I don't know. I'm not a turf guy. It's
okay. Then I'd like to get that answer sooner rather than later, though, when we expect these fields to be presentable. And are we going to keep these fields in that condition all the time? Or are we going to let them fall back into this state? Because I think Ascension Parish deserves better than this on these fields. And look, the other part of this, I didn't take all the pictures of it, but all of these parks that you go to, they've got fire pits, fireplaces that have no grill, that are rusted out, that are just sitting there. It's a danger. They've got basketball goals that there's no goal on it. Sometimes there's just a pole sticking up. That's right there at Prairieville Park. Let's remove it. We've got things that need to be painted that look nice. I firmly believe that if we make our parks look better, people are going to take care of them. But you know, we do get a lot of complaints on this. If you go out there, you'll get them. We got to get these fields fixed up pretty quickly. I know it can be done. It's not an excuse that men are playing softball on it. Because, like I said, I've been to fields. I've played ball all my life. It's really got to be improved. So by next recreation meeting, I'd like to find out what's been done, when it was done, and what the timetable is, and what is preventing us from doing this. Can we get all that?
Sure.
Okay.
All right, any more questions? All right. Moving on to item 7D, presentation and approval to proceed with introduction of ordinance of 2023 transportation impact fee study update. Mr. Jerome.
The update to the transportation impact fee program. I'm sorry. We're having a little technical issue with the sound, and so I have our consultant, Mr. Clancy Mullen from Duncan Associates, who's going to join us, and I'm going to have to put the microphone on and let him talk through that. Okay, so Clancy, can you say hello to the council, and we'll get moving.
Through my phone? Hello?
Hang on. I can hear you now. All right. Let's see how this works.
Okay. Hello?
Yeah, we got you.
Yeah, we're good, Clancy. Go ahead, please.
Okay, we can hang up.
You have to leave the phone on. Yeah, so, okay, put the microphone on. Okay.
Do I need to mute my,
Please go ahead with the presentation, Clancy.
can you still hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes.
Jerome?
Yes, we can.
Okay. All right. Let me see if I can share my screen. I got a brief presentation. Where are we? Good. Okay. Can you see the presentation?
Yes, we can. We're doing good.
Okay. Sorry. Okay, here we go. Let me just quickly give you a brief refresher on the current transportation impact fees. Now, transportation impact fee is a one-time fee. It's not a fee you pay annually. It's just one time up front, paid a building permit, used to improve arterial and major collector roads. Current fees were last updated in 2017. The fees have been increased annually by an inflation index by staff. They're currently assessed at 90% on the East Bank and 35% on the West Bank. And that gets us into geographic areas. So let me flip to the next slide. So the first kind is a service area, and you've got two, east and west of the Mississippi. Because, a service area is an area that's served by a shared system of roadways. And you really have this major barrier with the Mississippi River. So it makes sense to have two service areas. And this is the area at which you calculate the fees. And even though the fees, in this case, it turned out the fees are the maximum fees are the same in both service areas. Then there's benefit districts. And a benefit district is an area where the fee that's collected in that area is also spent on improvement in that area.
Clancy, excuse me 1 second. Can you advance the slides? We're just have the cover slide. Please advance the slides.
Oh. Why is it not advancing? I mean, it's advancing on the screen I thought it was sharing.
No.
Sorry. Okay, well, let's just do it from this one.
They're in Austin, Texas.
Okay, can you see the benefit district slide now?
We see it now. Thank you. Yes.
Okay. All right, well, let's just get back. Well, no, let's just keep going. So District 1, you have is just for the entire west service area. For the east service area, it's north and south. You got two benefit districts, but the fee is the same throughout the east service area, the maximum fee. So here's your current fees. So you see that maximum fee, that's the 2017 calculated fee as it has been adjusted annually for inflation. And then you have, you're assessing 90% in the east and 35% in the west. So you can see you've got a fee for a maximum fee. Well, no, a fee that's actually being assessed of about $3,000 for a single family detached unit. Okay. So going to the next slide, this is showing the updated fees and the current fees. So the first column is your current maximum fee. Same fee we were showing on the other slide. Then you've got your updated maximum fee, and then the percent change. And so you can see that the single family fees are going up about 35%, about a third. But the other fees are kind of all over the place. They're all changing. And I want to talk about that in a minute. But first, go to this next slide. Let's just look at the major categories. The single family and office fees are both going up pretty significantly. A third to, I think, 40% for office. Now, multifamily and retail, much smaller increases, and industrial, as I said, is actually going down. Okay, the reasons for those fee increases, your formula is really simple. It's two factors. It's the net cost per vehicle mile of travels times the number of vehicle miles to travel a unit of development generates. And so that would be a dwelling unit for a single family land use or per 1,000 square feet for non-residential. The net cost per VMT is the cost per VMT less the funding credit per VMT, and that's calculated parish-wide, so that's the same for all land uses. So the part that changes is this vehicle miles of travel per unit, and that's a product of three different factors. It's trip rates, pass-by trips, and average trip lengths. And all three of those factors change for different land uses in different directions. So that's why you're seeing these percentages, actually a couple going down, most of them going up, but by different amounts. And the final thing I wanted to talk about is really kind of the key decision we'd like you to make if you can today is what assessment rates do you want to charge in the two different service areas. So here's an example. So currently you're at 90% on the East Bank. You could, for example, that's with the fee, that would cause the fees to go up about a third. If you picked 80%, that would be more like a 20% increase. In the West Bank, you could get a similar increase by adopting it at 31%. If you wanted to keep, the increases about the same for each land use. But you could vary these however you wanted. You could do lower in the East Bank. You could keep the West Bank the same, or you could. So this is just one example. So that really concludes the presentation. I'll turn it back over to you, Jerome.
Yes. So, council members, as you can see from the table that's on the screen right now, if you could put that back up, what we're trying to do is get the fees close to where they are right now, but with a small increase. But as Clancy mentioned, there's certain land uses that really went up, others went down, like the warehousing and the industrial uses. But for the most part, everything has gone up. So what we're trying to do, if you look at the first category, houses, detached homes that are less than 2,000 square feet in size. Now you can hear me better. I'm sorry about that. Those houses less than 2,000 square feet in size, it'd be at $3,232, for their fee. So it goes up accordingly. And, with that, we like to leave you guys with open it up for questions. So.
Twice.
Yeah, we're having audio difficulties.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Sorry about that.
Let's see, Ms. Castro had a question first.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So it just seems counterintuitive to me that when we have $20+ billion worth of industrial development expected in Ascension Parish, that we should be going down on their impact fees.
Okay.
They are going to make a significant impact. The most critical piece will be traffic. And so I would encourage you not to go down on impact fees on industry. That just doesn't make any sense to me. Unless there's some reason why I can be persuaded differently. But this seems to be an opportunity to earn a little money off of the challenges that they present and perhaps fix some problems in the service areas where they exist. So I would be opposed to that unless there's some justification. That's my first question.
Can I address
Please,
something?
please.
Yeah, on the industrial properties, we have to remember that a lot of the large industrial plants that are located along the river, major plants, do not come into the parish for any building permits. You know, so we do not collect the fees from those industries. Any entity, any developer that comes into the parish and has to pull a building permit, they're subject to the fee. But those large, expansive plants are not, because they don't come into the parish. They're regulated by the state, right? So
Thank you for reminding me of that. I had not thought about that.
Yeah.
So this would fall to our ancillary industry around those plants, which are the smaller
That's correct.
industry that is driven by the presence of the plants here.
That's correct.
Well, that's a factor.
Right.
I have to rethink that, perhaps. I'll hear what the rest of my colleagues think.
Mr. Lawler.
You know, I have some concerns because what we're learning is that the cost of building roads is going up. Is that correct?
It is, yes.
And from what I understand,
what we, if I might,
Yes.
one of the things that we did when we looked at this impact fee adjustment was that we had two recent projects that were done by the parish where we had really good construction cost. And those were Lawrence Minor Road and Edenbourne. Since the last update of the plan, we have constructed those two roads. So we had some really good information as to what the construction costs are, you know, for building a road.
and a lot of these traffic impact fees, we're doing these because of increased growth. We need to do construction on roads, correct?
That's correct.
And from what I understand, from talking to people in the public and seeing it everywhere, we haven't made very much of a dent on the traffic complaints. We get a lot of those, maybe not on softball fields, but we get a lot of complaints about our traffic. So my point is, we haven't fixed the transportation or traffic problems that we have. The cost of that is going to go up in the future. We know it is.
Yes.
And we're going to reduce the amount of money we're taking in to go fix those problems, which also feels very counterintuitive because all we hear from the public is you need to fix our roads, you need to fix our traffic problems. We can't do that without money, and the cost is going to go up, but we're going to reduce what we're bringing in, which is going to make the problem worse.
Well, under the proposal that's before you tonight, we're not reducing any of the fees. They are going up.
Compared to the cost of what it's going to cost to do our roads. So if
Correct. I mean, if you levy the fee at 100%, the new fee at 100%, like Clancy just described, it's about a 35% increase in the fee.
And that's
pretty
about what the
substantial.
increase is to do our roads, is about 35%. So we're creating a shortfall to fix our roads, correct?
That's possible, yes.
Can
It is.
somebody from the administration, who's in charge of transportation now? Does anybody know?
Well, since Joey left, we've kind of divided up the responsibilities amongst several different people. We're all kind of helping out. We've asked Randy to step in. We've asked Tony to do a little bit more. We do have somebody, Mr. Tregg, within transportation has stepped up and is taking some of the duties, which has helped a lot. So we're still actively looking for a director. We're hoping we might have some potentials, and that may be something we talk about soon. So right now, we knew this was coming, so we sat down with Joey before he left. We went through all the responsibilities and tried to divide up what he was doing and who could do what until we could find that permanent.
We knew this was coming 3 years ago. Been asking to get him some help, but we haven't gotten any help, and now here we are without a transportation director, because that's who I'd like to find out more about these costs on the roads. I mean, he's going to be able to tell us that, because what we have is we've got a lot of Move Ascension projects that we budgeted for 3 or 4 years ago. The construction costs on those have gone up dramatically. So the question is going to be, how is that going to be handled in the future? How are we going to cover those shortfalls between what we budgeted and now the new construction costs? And here we're going to say we're not going to bring in enough money to help with that. So I just have a real concern with that, because we're going to continue to grow, and we have new people coming in, we have new businesses coming in, which is going to bring more traffic and more transportation needs, but now we're going to get less money to put into it. And I don't know, quite frankly, if that's what the public wants. They want the roads fixed, and we're going to tell them now that we're going to have less money to do the roads. It's not your fault, Jerome. I mean, it's...
No, I get it.
And
I
Councilman
understand
Lawler.
completely. I think one of the issues that we came upon when we first started up the program, right when I started here at the parish, in fact, is that we felt that the fees were very high in comparison, from an affordability standpoint. Because let's remember, everybody pays the fee. If somebody wants to put a trailer on a vacant lot somewhere in Santa Mata or wherever, they're going to pay the fee. The fee is payable by everybody. No one gets out of it. All right. So, and including the subdivisions, all the large subdivision developers. So everybody pays equally, for the fee. So that was one of the rationales about us taking a lower rate at some point in time.
But I remember, the argument was from the developers was that if you put this traffic impact fee in, it's going to shut down growth in the parish, and we'll never have another subdivision, and it's going to put everybody out of business.
Right.
And that didn't happen.
We know that didn't happen.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes,
Well, we all knew it wasn't going to happen either, but
Right.
that forestalled this for years. And I don't want to say we're crying chicken again, but we don't know what the impact will be.
Right.
But we do know what the impact is going to be on our roads and our financial ability to fix our roads. It's going to get worse.
Okay.
Mr. Weisbach.
Yeah, I kind of echo some of those thoughts. I mean, I guess for me, you gotta have a plan laid out to do so many miles of road every year. I mean, I guess what you're telling us though, you can't adjust the fees for certain areas. That they all go together.
That's correct. Yes.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I would like to think that part of the administration's plan forward is going to be looking at the growth, looking at fixing some of these traffic issues, and having some financials around that. I know right now we don't have that money, so it would just be good to know how that fits into maybe a 3 or 4 year outlook. Pat.
Yeah, and kind of to that point, you remember when we did the budget presentation on transportation, we talked about some of these challenges.
Yep.
We started the 5-year capital plan, and we've been looking at those, and what we've been doing since last year is trying to not just match the expenditures, but match the revenues too. Because there are so many revenue sources that we can use, whether it's the rescue money, whether it's federal money, whether it's capital outlay, whether it's impact fees. So we're trying to look at all of those to see exactly how far does this get us, and then what money needs to be transferred from road and bridge, because we need to know that so we can move forward. So exactly what you're talking about, the administration's been making a big effort. We've been meeting with Jeff Burst, trying to get some better estimates, and like you said, we're updating the estimates constantly. When we think we have an idea of what something's going to cost, it changes. So we're trying to keep up with those and trying to make sure we have the best plan so that we can move forward and say what are all of the options that we can use.
Could we commit in the finance committee to maybe revisit that? Because it's hard to vote on this when you don't know how this piece fits into the rest of it, right? So,
sure.
I mean, we can make assumptions, but there's not an overarching plan or a financial plan that tells us, how does this fit into it, right? So you're making good points about it being on individual houses and things like that, but there's also a point where we have to know how this fits into a financial plan for 5 years and what we're actually voting on. Maybe voting for this reduction doesn't hurt us as bad as we think, but I would say at this point, I mean, anybody on the council can comment, against this, but at this point, I mean, I don't know that we really, unless somebody knows, I don't know how big of an impact this is over that 5-year plan.
Okay. Well, you know that it's difficult to anticipate how much revenue you're gonna bring in every year from the fees, because it's all dependent on how many building permits you issue. You know, so if we have a low time and there are fewer building permits issued, obviously you're gonna collect less money. You know?
Right.
So it all goes hand in hand.
But we could also make an estimate of that, right? We could
Yes.
have a high and a low, and what portion of that fits into the road budget.
We can estimate that, yes.
So, I mean, I think that'd be something good to look at, Patrick, just to kind of educate everyone as we move forward, you know, what we're actually voting on, so, and what impact it has. Thank you.
All right, Ms. Casso, back to you.
I appreciate my peers here and some of their ideas. Aaron, from the time we started impact fees, wanted them to be at 100%. And look, I understand. I think it certainly didn't have an impact on development in this parish. I have two concerns. First, if we go down on ancillary industry and up on housing, I mean, we all know, all of us sitting here know that there are going to be less houses built in Ascension Parish in the future. Ancillary industry, however, is going to continue to grow. And so I'm still kind of on the fence there. I don't know how I'd push, which button I'd push up here about that piece. And then I also want to point out, I know Patrick is aware of this, that rescue money's on the table in Washington right now to be clawed back. And I'll be very surprised if that is not part of the deal. And so any of that rescue money that we have not spent, that we got, we're going to be writing them a check for. So I'm concerned about that piece, and I hope you'll kind of help us understand that a little better and what that's going to mean to our finances as we go forward, and projects that we had thought would be done by that money if it happens to be clawed back. So how I would vote on this yet, I don't know. I still await my peers to comment more, but I kind of like the idea that ancillary industry that's going to increase, not go down, and I don't have a feeling one way or the other on housing. I don't think it's going to be a factor. There won't be that many built.
Well, the industrial fee, the categories that went down for industrial are just warehouse and in the general industrial category, right? And the reason they went down is because of traffic studies that were done nationwide and inputted into the Institute of Traffic Engineers trip generation table.
It's that
right?
VMT
Yeah,
figure.
exactly. Yes.
All right.
So
okay.
what they anticipate is that industrial uses and warehouse uses are generating fewer trips than what they anticipated for homes and other land uses, all right? So as an example, you know, a bank had an increase of 131% increase in the traffic impact fee because of the traffic that the banks generate.
Well, that's
and that
people
was
running to get
anticipated.
withdrawals when the banks fail.
Yeah, well,
That's
there
what
you
it
go.
is.
That could be it, yes.
Who knows? Okay. Yeah, I understand. I don't feel prepared to vote on this.
If I might, I think tonight we were asking you, we wanted to make the presentation, and we were going to come back for an introduction of an ordinance at the next meeting, and then a full public hearing at the following meeting. So we were just looking for direction. This was supposed to go before the Transportation Committee meeting last month, and we didn't make it there. Right.
Mr. Chairman, if I may add another thing, I would love to ask you to have a little workshop, if you would, for us.
Sure.
So that we can better understand this. In the past, we have had that, and it's beneficial.
Yeah.
So I would appreciate that very much.
Sure.
I know I need it. I need to better understand this process.
Ms. Cagnolati.
My question just got answered.
Okay.
Thank you. I was just saying, is there a time frame that we have to vote on this? And it doesn't appear that we do, so, thank you.
Mr. Lambert.
Yeah, thanks, Mr. Chair. And that was one of the things, I appreciate everyone. We was just putting this out. We wasn't able to put the transportation meeting on, but what we'll do, we'll have this and a list of other things. And, you know, Jerome, definitely have those permit numbers.
Okay.
I I know we down from where we were last year, so let's get everything out on the table.
Okay.
And, you know, from the percentages I've been hearing here, even if a 20% was approved, and, you know, I think we just need to look at our numbers and make a good decision here, so.
Okay.
It was not intended for a vote tonight, it was just more or less getting everyone educated, and let's put it out.
Okay.
Thank you.
So if you'd like to schedule this before the next Transportation Committee meeting,
Sure.
we can do the workshop there if you'd like, or we can have a separate workshop at your,
Appreciate it,
at
yeah.
your convenience, all right?
And I'll just make a quick comment. So the one I struggle with the most is the single family. It's well, it's not a secret. The price of homes in Ascension has just skyrocketed. You know, the last few years. And so what I struggle with. So between, if we were to go to this new one, this max fee, $4,200–4,300, right? So I think roughly 65% of the entire East Bank of Ascension Parish is in a flood zone. So if you're going to build in a flood zone, then we got to do field mitigation, right? And so the last time this was brought up a year or two ago, I made a pretty little chart everybody made fun of, but you know, it's roughly, you're looking at roughly $8,000 to $10,000 before you get your builder's permit, just in field mitigation and engineering costs for field mitigation, and the transportation impact fee. So I struggle with just how much it costs. And then we have the permit fees, you know, that we charge, of course. So I struggle with the single family, and I do agree that, you know, industrial, we've always been extremely friendly with our incentives to bring them here. And in this case right here, I would agree with Ms. Terry that I would favor actually seeing that industrial at minimum stay the same, if not maybe go up a touch. So I'll just add those comments, and unless anybody has anything else. You got everything you need, Mr. Jerome?
I do,
You
yes.
good?
And I'll let Clancy know that, you know, we're all good.
Yeah.
Right? I'm sure he's been listening.
So give Mr. Clancy a microphone.
Yeah. Clancy, would you like to make some closing remarks?
Okay.
Hey, hold on. Can they hear me?
We can hear you.
I really don't have any closing remarks. I mean, we were hoping just to get some clue on the assessment rates to put in the ordinance, but you know, we can work on that, or just have you adopt them at the hearing.
Okay. We'll make that presentation to you at the workshop.
Yeah.
Thank you, Clancy.
Sure.
All right.
Thank you.
Yep, thank you, Mr. Jerome. All right, moving along. Item 70, approval of an intergovernmental agreement between the Parish of Ascension and the Council on Aging to authorize the parish to purchase immovable property on behalf of the Council on Aging, lots 19 and 20 in Commerce Center, Prairieville, LA, for purchase price of $1,099,902.20. Parish to be reimbursed by the Council on Aging. I have a motion by Mr. Robert. I have a second by Ms. Casso. And we have some visitors.
I want to thank you, and it's a really good piece of property. I think you're going to be proud of it. It's being bought with grant money, and it's going to belong to the parish after we get by it. So it's 4 acres, great place, all the infrastructure's in place. So, and I think the traffic concerns all have been shared with you. So we appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah, I do want to apologize for my absence last night. I was at OxyChem to about 11:30 last night. It's been a fun 36 hours for me. So thank y'all.
Thank you.
So we do have a motion by Mr. Lawler, second by Ms. Casso, and Mr. Cannavati has comment.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just want to comment. I spoke to Darlene about this, and this is not to replace the facility on Irma. It's an additional facility, and they're going to start out not giving the full services, but, you know, they're going to have activities, wellness center, and it's going to expand to where we'll have 2 great locations, one in the City of Gonzales and one out there in Prairieville. So I just think it's a great move. Thank you.
Yeah.
Chairman Milosson, I believe on Jerome's item, he needed a motion, or we had it on the agenda for a motion to move forward for introduction of ordinance. Did y'all want that to happen, or?
No, I believe we want some more conversation. Before
So,
we-
do you want a motion to send it? We need to know where to send it. Are you sending it back to transportation?
Yeah.
Okay. Let me finish up with E.
That's fine.
And I'll jump back to, okay, so on our CEA, on the intergovernmental agreement between Council on Aging and the parish, motion Mr. Robert, second by Ms. Casso. Any objection? Hearing none, so moved. We're gonna take a step back. Item 7D, the presentation and approval to proceed with the introduction of ordinance on the 2023 Transportation Impact Fee Study Update.
Mr. Chairman, I'll refer it back to transportation.
All right.
I'll take it.
I'm giving Ms. Terry the credit. Ms. Terry has a motion to send it back to transportation, and I got a second by Mr. Cagnalotti and Mr. Robert. They tied.
That's why I
Any
said I
objection?
wasn't prepared to vote. I
All right.
thought we had
And we have 3 council on aging, one on the West Bank also.
All right, no objection? So moved. All right, thank y'all. Item number 8, planning and zoning. 8A, approval to proceed with introduction of ordinance requiring a planned unit development by the zoning commission for multipurpose residential apartments to accept or deny. The zoning commission recommends approval. All right, we have a motion to accept zoning commission's approval. Yeah. All right, we got a second by Mr. Cagnalotti.
No, you're just asking.
Yeah. All right, any objection? Hearing none, so moved. Don't y'all start tripping on me now. 8B, approval to proceed with introduction of ordinance ZT 23.02 to amend Appendix 1 zoning tables of Ascension Parish Unified Land Developmental Code to add a planned unit development for multipurpose residential apartments to accept or deny. The zoning commission recommends approval.
Motion. Second.
We got a motion by Mr. Wagasback, a second by Mr. Cagnalotti. Any objection? Hearing none, so moved. 8C, approval to proceed with introduction of ordinance DC 23.02, creating a zoning district design conservation 5, Appendix 2, developmental code to accept or deny. The zoning commission recommends approval.
So moved.
We have a motion by Ms. Casso.
Can I make?
Oh, yep.
Hey,
Mr.
can I
Trump.
make a comment, Mr. Chairman?
Yep.
Is this on? I want to announce tonight that we're going to have a workshop, per your request, Mr. Chairman, at the Parish Administration Building next Tuesday, 6 o'clock. It's going to be in room 109 to 110 to discuss this new zoning category that we're implementing, right?
Yeah. You got a question there, Mr. Robert?
Yeah, is this the conservation zoning where we're talking about
Yes.
5 acre minimum?
That's correct, yes.
I mean, I'll make a motion to deny.
I've already made a motion.
Oh, well, then I won't make a motion. I'll just object.
Okay. All right, and Mr. Lawler has questions.
Yeah, I just want to, excuse me, I can't talk all of a sudden. I want to learn a little bit more about it. Like, this how does that compare to the current conservation, like on the map that we have all in green?
Conservation currently is 1 acre minimum lot sizes, and this would be a 5 acre minimum lot size. And in addition, we wouldn't allow the use of fill to build up houses. Josh, if I could get the computer turned on here? Yeah, I'll show you the area that we're talking about. And generally speaking, we're talking about the area that's designated by the state of Louisiana's Natural Resources Department as coastal zone. And yes, Ascension Parish does have a part of the parish in the coastal zone. And this area is generally on the very eastern edge of the parish. It's defined, the area that we've defined here is outside of the Laurel Ridge levee. And it's basically all the wetland areas that we have in the parish along that area, along that corridor. Additionally, I want to add that the new gapping project, the funds that we got from the state for the gapping project on Highway 22 is going to add immensely to utilize this area as a corridor for the water to be flowing down, kind of like what we had for the 2016 flood. As you recall, in 2016, Highway 22 became a dam. All the water backed up. There was no place for the water to go necessarily except into Santa Mont. This area would create a corridor, for water to get into Lake Maurepas, by having large lots, by having typically pier and beam type construction. We would allow fill at the discretion of the planning director and the engineering review agency to create driveways going up to houses and to actually create some mounding underneath the house to, prevent the foundations from coming, rotting out and stuff. Because typically you're going to be using pier and beam technology in this area to create that cordon for the water to flow, all right? Additionally, with our community rating system from FEMA for our flood insurance program, we get major points, for having a zoning category that's 5 acres or larger, and we get points for not allowing the use of fill to build up houses, right? So that's basically what this category is going to look like, and initially this is where we're going to implement it, all right? We looked at this from our GIS system, and I think we had maybe 200 address points in this whole area here. I mean, so we don't have many houses there, any at all. Additionally, I might add that there are some properties that are less than 5 acres right now that are in this area. Those would be grandfathered in. They can build on those properties. They don't have to consolidate land in order to create a 5-acre lot in order to build. So, with that said, we think this is a real plus for the parish, right?
Jerome, could we make, I get a little worried when we say that we're going to leave the use of fill up to another board or something.
Mm-hmm.
Could we limit it to like 1 foot? Is that something that we would be able to do? Because that'd be more than enough to make a mound below a house to prevent.
Well, any property that's going to develop in this area to begin with is going to have a difficult time using fill to build their property up and to meet our base flood elevation requirements, because this land is so low and it's all wetlands that the pond would just have to be immense in order, laterally in acreage and size, in order to mitigate the amount of fill that it would take to build up. And plus, we're limiting it to 3 feet anyway.
Yeah.
So nobody can build, would very likely unable to build a house in this area with just 3 feet of fill, right?
And what about Bluff Swamp? Would this be applicable? Could it be applicable to that area?
Well, we are creating a new zoning category.
Yes.
So at some point in time, if we'd like to apply this to Bluff Swamp, we certainly could.
I mean, it just seems like we'd get a benefit there because that's a major water drainage way.
Yeah.
And I mean, we've actually, with 1 acre there, we even have areas that's residential RM, which is kind of crazy for a swamp.
We discussed that internally. We decided we'd probably go with this first as the first area to apply that zoning category. But yes, it could be.
What do we need to do to get it to apply to that other area? Go through planning and zoning?
Yeah, we'd have to go through the zoning commission.
Oh, good. I talked to them today.
Yeah, you can talk to them.
I did.
Absolutely.
Got it moving.
They'd love to chat with you, so go ahead.
Look, and I will piggyback. If you look at the picture right here, the border between green and blue is the existing Morvenboro levee, the Lower Ridge levee, and the Lower Ridge levee extension. So all the blue is going to be on the outside of the levee system. Yep. And like Mr. Jerome said, I spent some time with Mr. Jerome last week going through this. Every lot that currently is under 5 acres in that blue will be grandfathered in. They can utilize a lot. They don't have to worry about adding on to it. And it's very, very, very little of actual usable land. But I did ask Mr. Jerome before, so we're gonna, when are we actually gonna introduce the ordinance?
We're gonna introduce it at the next meeting.
Okay.
This is a zoning matter that
Right.
basically you're giving the authority for us to move forward with
Gotcha.
it, right?
So we're gonna do the open house. Mr. Gatlin is putting together a little flyer he's gonna send to us. And so Tuesday night, I'm gonna blast it to Lake Morton, Highway 22 citizens and all that, because I don't want this to just catch them out of nowhere, and they're gonna see their house in the blue and whatnot. And in discussion with Mr. Drone last week, so the people who currently live in blue, like those newer houses on Highway 22 just before you get to diversion and whatnot, this could actually help their flood insurance because of our CRS ratings and whatnot. So we had a good conversation on it last week. We're gonna have the open house Tuesday and let the citizens come ask their questions, share concerns, see if there's any unintended consequences. So.
My motion stands.
Okay, I do have a motion, and we have a second, and Mr. Robert has a question.
The only thing I wanted to bring up was the downfall of the property values. Anybody that has property in that area, their property value will go down, but that's all I have.
All right, so we have a motion by Ms. Casso, a second by Mr. Lawler. Any objection?
Yeah.
All right, we do have objection. If we can get a roll call.
Thank you.
All right, the yeas have it, 8-1. So thank you, Mr. Strong. All right, item, I've lost my track here. Was that C, Cinnamon?
I believe we're on.
Okay.
Yeah.
8D, approval to proceed with introduction of ordinance, ZM 23.04, revisions to the zoning map, Conservation 5, zoning designation to accept or deny. The zoning commissions, which recommended to approve.
Second.
I have a motion by Mr. Lambert, a second by Coach Thomas. Any objection? Hearing none, so move. Item 8E, approval to proceed with introduction of ordinance, ZT 23.03, to amend Appendix 1 zoning tables to the Ascension Parish Unified Land Developmental Code to add a new zoning designation of Conservation 5 to accept or deny the zoning commissions who recommended to approve.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Cagnolati, a second by Mr. Lawler. Any objection? Hearing none, so moved. Introduction of ordinances. And just remember, I just need a motion to introduce, no second. 9A, introduction of ordinance to amend the ordinance repealing descriptions and designations of existing Ascension Parish Council districts, establish new Ascension Parish Council districts, define the territory of each new district, describe the boundaries of each new district, designate each new district, and to address other matters relative thereto.
I'll second it.
A motion by Ms. Casso to introduce. 9B, introduction of ordinance to amend the ordinance that reestablish certain precinct boundaries in order to comply with applicable law regarding redistricting and reapportionment. I have a motion introduced by Ms. Casso. I'll call us into recess. You'll keep it up.
We're messing with you.
9C, introduction of ordinance, budget amendment number 2, approval to amend 2023 budget, Finance Committee recommendation. We have a motion by Mr. Cagnolati. 9D, introduction of ordinance to approve the acquisition of 2 parcels of immovable property by the Parish of Ascension for the Council on Aging. Have a motion introduced by Mr. Robert. 9E, introduction of ordinance to amend the Ascension Parish Unified Land Developmental Code to add Appendix 15, traffic calming. And this motion by Ms. Casso. 9F, introduction of ordinance to amend the Ascension Parish Unified Land Developmental Code, Appendix 4, subdivision regulations regarding traffic calming policy.
So moved.
Motion introduced by Ms. Casso. I'm sorry, y'all. I'm hoarse from work last night, and I'm just struggling reading today. All right, item 10, committee recommendations. 10A, consideration to grant variance for Belle Maison subdivision to allow a third-party utility provider to furnish wastewater treatment. Chapter 18 of the Ascension Parish Code of Ordinances in Section 117.2 outlines variances in this code. I have a motion introduced by Mr. Robert. A motion to approve by Mr. Robert.
Second.
A second by Ms. Casso. Any objection? Hearing none, so moved. Item 10B, consideration to grant variance for a waiver of sewer connection and developmental fee of $2,500 per lot.
Second.
We have a motion by Ms. Casso, a second by Mr. Lawler. Any objection? Hearing none, so moved. Public hearing ordinances. Reading of an ordinance to levy millages on the 2023 tax roll on all property subject to taxation by Ascension Parish government. Mr. Kenneth.
Do you need to pause?
I'm on. It's not true. Be it ordained, the following millages are hereby levied on the 2023 tax roll on all property subject to taxation by Ascension Parish government. 2023 millage. Parish tax 2.74, parish tax in Donaldsonville and Gonzales 1.37, parish health 2, parish mental health 2, parish council on aging 1.5, parish juvenile detention 0.99, parish animal shelter 0.99, parish library 5.6, lighting district number 1 4.78, lighting district number 2 1.01, lighting district number 3 4.81, lighting district number 4 4.34, lighting district number 5 4.84, lighting district number 6 4.90, lighting district number 7 4.89, ACUD number 1 10.13, East Ascension drainage 4.94, West Ascension drainage 5.33, West Ascension drainage number 2 4.62, Prairieville Fire District number 3 10, Prairieville Fire District number 3 number 2 10, Brookstone Subdivision 15, Camille Cove Subdivision 15, Camber Oak Subdivision 15, Highland Trace Subdivision 15, Germany Oak Subdivision Phase 2 15, Jamestown Crossing Subdivision Filing 1 15, Jamestown Crossing Subdivision Filing 2 15, the Villas of Rosewood Subdivision 15, the Cottages at Savannah Row 15, the Pelican Point GC Victoria Court 15, Pelican Crossing 5th Filing 15, Riverton Subdivision 1st Filing 15, Claricote Court Subdivision 15, Forest Wood Subdivision 15, Windermere Crossing Subdivision 15, Windsor Park Subdivision 15, Belle Sylvain Phase 3 15, Pelican Crossing 6th Filing 15. Be it further ordained that the proper administrative officials of the Parish of Ascension, State of Louisiana, be and they are hereby empowered, authorized, and directed to spread said taxes as here and above set forth upon the assessment roll of the said parish for the year 2023, and to make the collection of the taxes imposed for and on behalf of the taxing authority according to the law, and that the taxes herein levied shall become a permanent lien and privilege on all property subject to taxation herein set forth, and collection thereof shall be enforceable in the manner provided by law. Foregoing ordinance was read in full. The roll was called on adoption thereof, and ordinance was adopted by the following votes.
We have a motion to open public hearing by Mr. Robert, a second by Mr. Cagnolati. Motion to close public hearing by Mr. Cagnolati. I need a second.
Second.
A second by Coach Thomas to close public hearing. We have a motion to move the ordinance by Mr. Cagnolati, a second by Mr. Wagaspack. Any objection? Hearing none, so moved. 11D, reading of an ordinance to amend the ordinance adopting a pay classification plan to add the positions of Planner 1, Planner 2, increase the labor grade of the Planner Senior from 120 to 121, and to add an intern. Mr. Kenneth.
Thank you. Purpose to amend an ordinance adopted on January 9th, 2023, amending Section 16-1 of the Ascension Parish Code of Ordinances adopted by the Ascension Parish Council on June 20th, 1996, adopting a pay classification plan to add the positions of Planner 1, Planner 2, increase the labor grade of the Planner Senior from 120 to 121, and add an intern. Whereas the Parish of Ascension, through the Ascension Parish Council under lawful session, passed an ordinance adopting an official pay classification plan, and whereas the original ordinance establishing a uniform system for reimbursement, promoting, and classifying Ascension Parish personnel, and whereas the plan was last amended on January 9th, 2023, and needs further revision, and whereas the Human Resources Director has prepared a revision to the pay classification plan, and whereas the Parish President has accepted the revised plan and proposed the revision to the Parish Council for review, now therefore be it ordained that the Ascension Parish Council does hereby authorize the amendment of the pay classification plan attached to Exhibit A, proposed by the Human Resources Department and submitted by the Parish President, add the position of Planner 1, Planner 2, Planner Senior, and Intern. Effective date, this ordinance shall be in full effect as permitted by law. The ordinance have been submitted, but vote to vote their ordinance as follows.
We have a motion to open public hearing by Mr. Robert, a second by Mr. Cagnolati. Motion to close public hearing by Mr. Cagnolati, a second by Ms. Casso. Motion to move the ordinance by Mr. Robert, a second by Ms. Casso. Any objection? Hearing none, so moved.
Before we go to adjournment, can I ask one thing?
Okay.
And I wanted to ask this for the Animal Services Board before, and I don't know if this will take a motion. Is there any chance that we could make sure that we send out a letter to all adjacent property owners around the properties to let them know it's being considered and put that on an agenda? Yeah, that way all the property owners know, we can put it on the next agenda so they can come and express whatever they want.
Put what on the next agenda?
We're going to add an agenda item for the next council meeting, that consideration of these 3 properties, but it's just a public hearing. So we don't have to have a separate public hearing for it. They can just come to the meeting, but I want to make sure we notify all of them with a letter.
Okay.
Is that, you good with that? Yeah. Okay, cool. It didn't take a motion. I just want to make sure that, last time was kind of a surprise to a lot of people. So that way we're not surprising anybody. It's all out in front, all public.
Somebody give me item 13.
Motion to adjourn.
A motion adjourned by Ms. Casso, a second by Mr. Lawler. Any objection? Hearing none.